Keep walking, even when no one walks with you. I could tell you to take a breath and keep going, but you've probably heard that before. Empty comfort from people who have never had to fight for a single inch of ground. So, I won't pretend it's easy. I won't sugarcoat the nights when everything feels like it's closing in and the loudest voice you hear is the one telling you to quit. Instead, I'll say this simply: don't give up. Not because the world owes you mercy, not because someone will hold your hand through the storm, but because your own heart is a stubborn, beautiful thing worth protecting. There's this brutal little truth. The world is often cold. It doesn't notice when you fall, and sometimes it seems to take pleasure in stepping on people who are already down. People you thought would be there disappear when things get hard. Opportunities get swallowed by red tape or timing. And every success story you scroll past online makes your own failures feel louder, as if you're failing in stereo. It's a lonely business being alive and trying to make something of yourself. That loneliness can feel like a kind of punishment, one that whispers you should have known better, that you should have been tougher, smarter, faster. But here's another honest truth. The absence of support doesn't equal the end of the road. It simply means you'll have to make your own light. It means you'll have to be the one steady presence in a life that otherwise shifts and shakes. That's a heavy role, and I'm not minimizing it. I know what it's like to stand in a room full of judgment and silence and feel like you're the only one carrying a fragile spark. I know how easy it is to let that spark die out under the weight of critique, indifference, or plain old bad luck. Yet somehow, even in the quiet, pockets of resistance form a tiny refusal to let go, a ridiculous, stubborn optimism tucked in the corner of your ribcage. When nobody shows up for you, you learn to be your own audience. You clap for every small win, the email you sent even though your fingers trembled, the draft you finished despite not feeling brilliant, the morning you woke up and tried again. These moments feel insignificant to anyone else, but they're everything. They are the bricks you use to build a life that isn't dependent on approval. Celebrate them. Record them. Let them be proof that you matter to someone, even if that someone is you. It helps to remember that most people don't have the bandwidth to support every struggling person they encounter. That's not a moral failing on their part. It's a limitation of being human. People are wrapped in their own troubles, their own fears and needs. When compassion is thin, it doesn't mean you're unlovable or unimportant. It just means the world is messy and scarce, and you can't rely on it to feed your soul every day. You must become your own caretaker, and sometimes that means doing hard things like setting boundaries, asking for what you need, and forgiving yourself for not being someone else's priority. There will be days when bitterness feels like the only honest emotion left. That's okay. Let yourself feel it. Anger, disappointment, and grief are not enemies, they're signals. They tell you where the pain is, and pain, as ugly as it is, can be a compass. Use it to steer. If the world is cruel in a certain pattern, learn to recognize that pattern. If people let you down in predictable ways, protect your heart without hardening it. The goal isn't to become unbreakable, it's to become resilient, able to bend and not shatter. Please don't mistake resilience for solitude. Being your own supporter doesn't mean you must be alone forever. Seek out the small, quiet connections that feel real, a neighbor who listens, an online community where people show up honestly, one friend who texts back at 2 a.m. These aren't always grand gestures. Most of the time, they're tiny threads that, when woven together, hold you up when the gale comes. And sometimes, Support comes from the most unlikely places: an old teacher's message of encouragement, a barista who remembers your name, a stranger's smile in the rain. Keep your eyes open for those moments. They're rarer than we'd like, but they're there. Also, be kind to your ambition. When the world is harsh, ambition is often framed as arrogance or greed. That's nonsense. Wanting more fairness, more creativity, more chance to do what lights you up is valid. Your dreams don't make you selfish. They make you human. Protect them gently. Break them down when they feel overwhelming. Turn mountains into manageable steps. Small forward movement is still movement. Plant one seed at a time and water it, even if the soil seems unkind. There's another thing. Failure isn't the villain. Failure is the teacher with a blunt voice. It will bruise you, yes, but it also sharpens you. The people who look like they had it easy usually didn't. They failed in ways you can't see, behind closed doors. What they did differently was they kept going. They adjusted, they patched, they learned. They let failure be feedback rather than final judgment. That's a choice you can make too. Painful, and not a small one, but a choice nonetheless. When the noise of the world drowns you out, come back to stillness. There's a particular kind of courage that lives in quiet mornings, in the slow reopening of yourself after a day of battle. Make small rituals that anchor you: a walk, a cup of tea, a notebook where you're brutally honest, without self-editing. These rituals are tiny acts of defiance against chaos. They say, "I'm here. I'll keep going." They don't solve everything, but they remind you of your presence and worth beyond productivity and applause. I won't promise you that tomorrow will be better. Life is capricious and cruel sometimes, and promises like that feel shallow. Instead, I'll offer a steadier promise. If you keep going, if you honor the small wins, if you let yourself grieve, if you seek the tiny supports that do exist, then you make it more likely that a moment of mercy will find you. Perhaps it will be an unexpected job, or a person who believes in you, or a sudden clarity that reshapes everything. Maybe it won't be dramatic. Maybe it will be a whisper, an opening you didn't see coming because you were too busy thinking the world had closed. And if it never comes, then at least you can say you loved the life you tried to build. You can say you made choices instead of resigning to circumstance. There's dignity in that. There's a deep, stubborn bravery in refusing to let the cruelty of the world define your worth. So don't give up. Not because the world will be kind, but because you deserve to be kind to yourself. Shine your own light. Hold your own hand. When the world refuses to support you, be the support you need. It might feel like shouting into an empty room at first, but keep shouting. Your voice is not meaningless. Somewhere, maybe next door, maybe across the internet, maybe years from now, someone will hear it and feel less alone because you didn't stop. And even if no one ever arrives, you will have lived a life that mattered to the one person who truly needed it. You.